All right. Good afternoon,
Hi.
everyone, YWCA viewers. This is Series 1, Episode 6 of The Butterfly Effect, sponsored by Club 1888, a YWCA volunteer program. This is an empowerment series where volunteer hosts interview inspiring women in our community. Today, we have Maya McNulty. Maya is an award-winning cable lifestyle program host that has aired for 7 years, reaching 2 million households and seen in more than 19 counties throughout New York State. Maya McNulty has helped nonprofits to raise millions of dollars using fundraising secrets to propel them to the level of ninja master in the art of fundraising. A fundraising and technology maverick, Maya designed and launched the mobile application Where to Shop and Dine, which promotes small businesses and helps to alleviate child hunger. She has worked with thousands of people for more than 20 years, creating opportunities for entrepreneurs as one of America's most respected business branding strategist, coach, marketer, podcaster, best-selling author, and speaker. She has created spectacular events and has been recognized and received numerous awards for her achievements in her philanthropy. Welcome, Maya.
Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. We're really happy to have you. Wanted to start off if maybe you could just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me as a guest on Butterfly Effect. And I think in this time of pandemic, where it's not unprecedented anymore, but the butterfly effect is we're being reborn, right? We're looking at new ways to run our businesses, new ways to achieve our goals that were put on pause in 2020. We're ready for something new. We're all craving normalcy. Last year, March, I was one of the very first young females to have come in contact with the coronavirus, which put me in a coma for 30 days and also on a ventilator for 6 weeks. My life has changed, and I'm sharing my message because the person I was once before, who I craved to be, is not going to happen the way I want it to be now. And so I'm sharing my story not because it's going to be something that I want you to feel sorry for me or something that is sad, but it's a triumph. It's a victory. And my whole skit, I guess I started to say my second life, chapter 1, is ventilated to victory. And I'm sharing my story because I think that a lot of businesses could have felt that they were put on a ventilator during the pandemic, that they could have been out of business. They've had to learn to pivot, whether you be a restaurant or a mom and pop shop or a nonprofit organization. So we've learned to do things a little different and we're rebirthing. So this theme of butterfly effect is very important and essential. A little bit more about me is I've been married for over 22 years. I never realized the power of marriage until I was on a ventilator, per se. My husband was always there, but I always took him for granted. And not always, but a lot. And I realized I was wrong. And I have a daughter who's going to be 21 in June. And she's studying neuroscience and she also works in the medical field. And she's at the University of Colorado Boulder. So when you talk about kids and remote learning, I've been impacted on many spectrums of this pandemic. And I just want to be a positive voice for people who think that they're alone because they're not. And if my voice can help, and I did lose my post COVID. I just recently got it back in December. So 7 months of being a speaker. Imagine that, being a speaker and not having a voice. But now I realize it's amplified and I could save lives with my story if I can just be out there to tell it. So I'm using your platform today. So thank you so much to voice and tell people that they're not alone. And if they need help, it's available and it's out there. And I'm advocating for you. So So I am writing another book. My first book was, I'm sorry, I have brain fog now, so I have to think a little bit. It's My Favorite Quotes for Entrepreneurs. It's an interactive guide to inspiration and empowerment. My second book was Fundraising Secrets, because a lot of nonprofits were asking me, how did you fundraise, or what's the step? And I got tired of answering the step by step, so I put it out in a book. And it's been received worldwide. And now, with my story of survival for COVID, as a survivor, I feel like it's my duty to help share the story so that people don't feel alone, and that they have, not clinical, because when I phase out of hospital care, physical therapy, in home care, the nurses, the neuroscience, the pulmonologist, where do I go to from there? And that's the problem that I'm solving. And I'm going to be doing it with a team. I've created a dream team to help me to do that when I'm ready. So that's what I've been working on, and hopefully it'll inspire others to be a part of this movement for COVID survivors and long haulers. Families need recovery, businesses need recovery. As I look at it, everyone needs recovery and hope. And I want to be that light in the darkness. So that's what I'm sharing today.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Maya. And I had a bit of internet trouble, hop back in, but just from the first part that I heard before I was kicked out for a moment, it must have been unbelievably hard. And I'm sure it's definitely changed your outlook on how you're doing things now past that experience. So I'm really appreciative of you sharing that here with us today, that personal experience. So
You've got it, Piff, no problem.
absolutely. So, I'm moving along in the same vein. I mean, and it might have even changed after that experience. But who inspired you when you were young?
Interestingly, I feel that how I've been inspired my entire life. I was born in Guyana, South America, and I came to America in 1979 with my family, my mom and dad, and my brothers. And, you're leaving a country and leaving things behind, and you're coming to start over for new opportunities and a fresh start. I didn't have much friends, nor did I have much clothes or furniture or anything like that. I mean, I was a baby. I was 6 years old, but my parents provided for us and loved us and made us feel like we were important. And I wouldn't necessarily say my parents were my mentor, because it was their duty to love and support, right? Just as I'm a mom and love and support my child. But teachers, when I was in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, my elementary years. And it's interesting because a few years ago, we started a women's organization, and my music teacher, my choir teacher, Mrs. Aldi, reached out and said how proud she was. And I was thinking, you mentored me, you inspired me. And there's just something about singing that makes you feel whole and innocent and pure. So I told her, thank you for inspiring me those years in my elementary. And I'd probably say those were third grade. When I was in first grade, my teacher's name was Mrs. Bartier, which I mentioned her in my book, Fundraising Secrets. I don't remember much of her except that she was a wonderful teacher, but I re-met her when I was in ninth grade, and she taught me about volunteerism and volunteering at the city mission. And so I realized that throughout my years of volunteerism, it happened during elementary years, and it left an impression on me. But as I got older, depending on whether it be school or business, I have a mentor that helps me with everything that I choose. So whether I need a lawyer as a mentor, or a business coach, or a leadership coach, I feel that you should be able to reach out to the people and the things that you need to serve you better and lift you higher, because not everyone, it's not a mold, it's not a one-size-fits-all mentorship. You have to go out and find what you need in order to prosper. And that's what I've done. And I've become a mirror of that to help others to be able to be mentored, depending on what they want, whether it be business, or if they want to start a podcast or a TV show or marketing or advertising. I kind of dabble in a lot of things. You could say it's a hobby of mine to be a mentor, but I find great joy in that.
Oh, that is wonderful. And I love to hear that idea that, the foundation definitely sets the stage for everything else, and to hear how yours has built you up to being the woman that you are today and the mentor that you are to a lot of other people. So that is amazing. Um, and I'm sure your foundation contributed to the position that you are in now. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So post-COVID, I haven't been able to, I'm still going to therapy and I still have voice therapy, physical therapy, my doctor's pulmonologist, cardiologist, lung specialist, because my lungs stopped 3 times while I was in a coma. So I still keep myself active because I have a lot of brain fog and neurological issues because my oxygen dipped so low when I was in a coma and when I was on my way to the emergency room. So I have to like
Well, Maya, it looks like you're muted, I think.
there
There
we
we go. Up and back to muted. The internet does not like us today. I can see.
There it goes. There it goes. So I
Perfect.
asked my pulmonologist if he would like to be on my board for COVID wellness, and he said yes. And so right now, like I said to him, I'm not going to move fast. I'm going to move as the pace is ready, and I'm feeling strong and fit enough. But there's going to be
Good.
so many people that need help post COVID. And so I'm going to set up an organization for what comes next after you phase out of the medical setting. And that's what the problem COVID wellness will solve.
That is amazing, considering how many people this pandemic has affected, to know that, that experience has pushed you to want to help others. I I think it's inspiring, Maya, on top of all the other things you've done. And
Thank you so much.
absolutely.
We
And
did start a group called, go ahead. We did
no, I
start
was
a group
saying,
called COVID Wellness. So if anybody's looking for support, there's about 1,000 people in that group right now that are sharing their story of survival and their stories of being an amazing superhero, a superstar, because they feel like they're not being heard. And in our group, they're being heard and they're being lifted up. So if you're feeling insecure and not knowing that you're alone, you're not. We have help for you.
thinking, when you said superstars, I think women themselves are superstars. And thinking about yourself as a woman in this industry, how did that identity as a woman kind of influence you?
What I love is, well, I have a daughter and I know that I'm a mirror of her, right? She looks at me for support and guidance. And I realized a long time ago, if you want to empower women, empower more women.
Hmm.
And if you
Empowered
empower more
women
women,
empower
you will
women.
empower. Simple. So, exactly. If you want to empower women, empower more women. And that's how you're going to do it. That's a
I do
nutshell right
like
there.
that.
That's a nugget. It's a nugget. If
Perfect.
you want to empower more people, empower women, empower more women. Little girls that are
Use
watching.
Absolutely. And using that knowledge, right, of empowered women, empower women, and your other experiences as of recently, what's some advice you would give to your 21-year-old self?
I thought of this often. My daughter is going to be 21 in June. And all I cared about when I was in college was I wanted to see the world. I wanted to travel. I wanted to experience new things. And I thought, you know what? I'm not wrong for wanting to do that. And so now that my daughter's off doing those things as well, she just got vaccinated. She works in the medical field and is studying neuroscience. And I thought, what an opportunity for you to go out and impact the world and change the world, because you know firsthand COVID and the neurological issues that go around it, and families. And I thought that how go after it. Don't let anything hold you back. My 21-year-old self will tell me that. Like, don't stop. Believe that you can do anything and you can achieve it. There's a quote that Henry Ford says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So believe that you can, and you will. Empowering more women will empower more women. By empowering more women. It's very simple.
I love it. Will Smith said the best things in life are on the other side of fear. And it's one of my favorite quotes since. Right? You can't know if you don't do it. So I think you've already answered the next question I wanted to ask about what would you want other women to know?
I feel that there's a lot of things that women need to know. And one is that they wear a cape. They have a super cape. They are the Wonder Womans. And the only thing that's holding them back is their disbelief. Maybe they were taught disbelief. Maybe they believe in disbelief. But they have to turn that around. Start thinking positive. Wear your cape of honor. For me now, it's these scars on my neck that are very visible. And they make me insecure, but I know that they're a badge of honor. And so maybe it's these scars on my cape now. But wear your cape of honor and you can soar. You can become anything and believe anything. The only thing that's stopping you is your own disbelief. You don't have to be that. You don't have to believe your disbelief. You can empower yourself to believe that you deserve the best and that you're capable of it.
We can achieve anything as long as we believe in ourselves. And I think that's a great message to send.
Yes.
Maya, what's unique to you? And I think there's many things unique to you just based on this short interview we're doing. But, what's something you'd want to impart that's unique about you, a special talent that you have that excites you, that you want to brag about?
I don't know necessarily if it's unique to me. I'm not the best cook, but when I was a kid, I used to cook dinner all the time, traditional Indian foods. And my daughter and niece happened to love it very much. And so recently, when they were home during quarantine, we were doing some cooking classes, we'd call it, on Tuesdays. So we'd have cooking class on Tuesday. We'd make traditional Indian food, which turns out it was just as delicious as it was then. So I haven't lost my touch. But unique to me is just my culture and my family of being Indian, being a woman. Normally, we are stuck in the kitchen, but we aren't doing that anymore. We're blazing trails. We're empowering each other to do amazing things. So you can enjoy that lovely dinner, but yet go out and change and impact the world. And I think that's one of the things that's unique to me is I believe in lifting women up to do that and encouraging them and empowering them to do that, to believe in themselves. Honestly, if they spend a day with me, I believe they'll probably be convinced that they are believing in themselves.
Oh, it's infectious, I think, that attitude, and you definitely bring it with you into a room. So I think it's awesome and something definitely to be proud of is your culture. I think especially in a time like this and who you are as a person. So thank you for sharing that. And I think the last question I have for you is, what's the best advice you've ever received that you'd want our viewers today to hear?
I've received some great advice because I've had some wonderful mentors. Some of the advice I've received, just because you receive advice doesn't mean you should always follow them. Because sometimes they could lead you down to a dark path. But when we think of advice, we think of things that are going to lift us up. But not all advice is equal. So when you're listening to advice, make sure it's something that is ethical, that's something that is going to be life-changing in a positive way. You know, just because someone says go jump off a bridge doesn't mean you do it. So sometimes you can receive bad advice. I've received bad business advice. I've received bad tax advice. I've received bad medical advice. But one of the things that keeps me going is knowing what is important to me. Can I solve the problem? I look at the solution in things. And so when I say, Maya, you're going to feel better in 6 months, I'm going to write out a plan to make sure I have a plan of action, to make sure I'm going to feel good in 6 months or better, that I'm progressing. But it's easy to give up. It's easy to take bad advice. It's easy to say it's not for me, or these are my circumstances and I'll never get out. That doesn't have to be your story. You can change the ending of your story. You get to paint with the brush. You're in control. You're the author. That's my advice.
Oh, that's wonderful advice, Maya. And I'm thinking, it's a great end to our interview today to, impart that piece of wisdom you've learned. And I mean, you're successful. It's clearly worked that, listen to advice, but make sure you choose what's best for you. It's your path and you hold the pen. So thank you so much, Maya. Thank you for joining us today and sharing with us your story. And thank you, viewers, for watching. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 o'clock for different hosts and different guests.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.